Welcome to Pacific Unitarian Universalist Church. As if you didn't know where you were. We have Chris here today with us, and he is, I was going to say bringing the heat, but he's bringing the cool. That's what he's bringing. Yeah. So we got a lot going on. I'm going to get through it as quickly as I can. We have, tonight is, if you've been a part of the racial conversations, the sort of mixed groups, the set by Go Compassion and Angela and Two. Nice evening with dinner and conversation with people and set on a theme. It's a very peaceful night. We're going to be here tonight. It starts at 5. It has historically started around 6 or 6:30, but people wanted to enjoy a little bit of the sunset and a little bit of the light. So if you, I think there's still time to come tonight, right? Is there space available? There is. So if you want to come and make a donation, these are like, you know, they're supposed to be meaningful, but I think they're also fun. So that's been part of the joy of it all, is this different groups, 6 or 7, private conversations, mixed group of people, set on a theme, set on race, and designed to build, you know, cross-racial community. And they're just wonderful addition to what we're doing here. So that's tonight at 5. This week we have Seekers, which is the best little secret at PUC. Don't come. It's on Wednesday at 10. And then the Senior Covenant group meets at 2 on Tuesday. We have, we're going to do, for those who don't have plans for Thanksgiving, could anyone do a sort of show of hands who might want to pick up a meal or come here at 1 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day and spatially distance themselves out and have a meal with friends? We're going to order food from Boston Market, so that we want to make sure everybody has a place to go on Thanksgiving. Anyone interested in that? If we don't have 5 people by today, we may not go ahead with that. So raise your hand if you have any interest in this at all. And kind of Kelly is coordinating this, so come see her. There's 1, 2, couple. There we go. I don't know. Yeah, okay. What else is going on? Let's see. I know the welcome table was full, but we're still looking for ushers and greeters and welcome table people. If you're coming once a month, it's a great little way to join us and you know, be a part of the team here. We've started this spiritual group. We're going to head into the week 3 of these sort of, I like them. They're 45 minutes long in the morning on Saturday. You can come in person. You can tune in on Zoom or on Facebook Live. There's not a lot of chitty chat. It's kind of like some version of guided meditation and a chance to deepen yourself, and with tools that you can take home and share with your family or just privately practice yourself. So we have 4 more of those headed into the middle of December every Saturday morning at 10. In general, we try to offer something regarding, I sort of call it adult ed. Let's see. We also have hearing aids, which we have not really been using. They're in the back. If you struggle to hear, put one on and give it a whirl. Greg can help you set that up. Melissa can help you set that up. This week we also have the second meeting of a grief group on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So if you feel like it's sort of undefined grief, it's relatively loose. It's not terribly tight, but it's a chance to share and be with people who are also experiencing or have experienced some version of loss. So we're also talking, we need to start acting on Afghan refugees. We want to be a church that kind of supports a family or something, and Barbara Marriott is one of the leaders of that, and Frank and Maureen. So go chat up Barbara. We're going to try to push this forward a little bit. And let's see. The book group is reading a book called The Bird by Willow Wilson, no relation at all. And yesterday, Andy and Janet did, Steve's holding up that book. You can take a peek at it if you want to join in. And we did Laundry Love. It's probably our most direct version of service that we have, which is good. And we serve 20 people, you know, economically challenged people. They did their laundry for free or nearly completely free yesterday. So there we are. We have some joys and concerns, but that's later on. We want to make an announcement that there's a food drive for Thanksgiving as well. In addition to being able to come here and get dinners, there's also a chance to donate. There's a box up here. And kind of we're doing a dual fundraising thing. You can bring in, toys for kids. It's the same Rainbow Services we're doing the drive for. And it's food for Thanksgiving in a kind of a classic, predictable way, non-perishables, and then it's gifts for kids unwrapped for Christmas. So start bringing them in. We'll figure out a place to hide them until we hand them off to Rainbow Services. So that's cooking as well. Okay. I want to invite Judy up to read our Chalice Words for us while I light the chalice.
The Chalice Words today are by Ralph Waldo Emerson. A person will worship something. A person will worship something, have no doubt about it. We may think our tribute is paid in secret in the dark recesses of our hearts, but it will out. That which dominates our imaginations and our thoughts will determine our lives and character. Therefore, it behooves us to be careful what we worship. For what we are worshiping, we are becoming.
True words. Every mid-November before one of the services before Thanksgiving, I slot a sermon on Unitarian Universalism writ large, some kind of heritage piece, who we are as a movement, something about us. And this sermon was initiated by Bob Monzingo, who's up front here. He's going to share the pulpit with me today and wanted to talk about our core values and our historic commitments and the threat that they might be being forgotten. So every once in a while we have to do this sort of group work, so to speak, the work that's bigger than our own personal spirituality, and talk about what's going on in the denomination writ large, and today is that day. So there are always tensions and things that are going on within Unitarian Universalism, so we like to keep that, alive and well. For any new UUs out there, new to our tradition, today will serve as a fresh perspective about a church open and honest with the way that it self-reflects. Either that or you'll feel like you lost 20 minutes of your life you'll never get back. I don't know. But first we sing, and we share our singing with De Coloris 306, but you got to keep your mask on and don't project. Just sing poorly is really what I mean.
De colores he visto en los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de fuera. De colores es al arco iris que vemos lucir, y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines out through the rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors, as the rainbow appears when the storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun.
A cappella. No. I'd like to invite our children down for our children's moment and come down on the Okay. Well, thanks for coming down. So, life is a balancing act, as we all know, right? You have to balance schoolwork with, playing with your friends, video games. All of that stuff requires a certain amount of balance. And your spirit requires balance too, right? You got to have a little bit of justice in there. You have to have a little bit of meditative time. You need some comrades along the way. You want to have some moments of awe, right? You want to have a balance. You want to have some morality and good rules to live by. Spirituality is a balance. So, in that spirit, I wanted to give you guys a challenge. So the challenge is, for anyone who wishes to take it, and you don't have to, but if you don't, you should stay away. I want you to stand up and see if you can balance one of these things on your finger. Who wants to try that? I mean, everyone is going to try this. Let me rephrase it. Up. Come on. If you're strong, you'll take the heavier pieces if you want to. Here. Oh, come on. You work with me here. And you put on your finger and see if you can balance it. You're gonna get one of these too? Okay, now spread out as much as you can. Naomi, you might want to slide back a little bit. I don't want anybody to fall on anybody. So see if you can balance it like you try to balance the other things in your life. That stick looks heavy. Maybe we shouldn't do that. You go over there. Okay, beautiful. All right, let's see if we can do that. Try to see if you can get it balanced and just hold it up. Now you're holding it. Come on. There we go. Excellent. Okay, now everyone come together, really tight. Turn around, face outside, and then try to do it. Yeah, come in here, but you're going to make sure they don't whack them with a stick. Here, turn around. Wham. Stand together, tight, because that's what life is. We don't only have to balance ourselves, we have to balance ourselves in community, don't we? All right, now try it and see if it's even harder. This isn't really working. Yeah, they're doing all right. Okay. Here we go. So that's the exercise, is the idea that you have to balance your life, and it's harder because you have to do it together and you have to cooperate, right? You might have to turn a certain way if somebody does something that's uncomfortable. You don't want to get stuck in the eye or any of those kind of things. What do you think of that? That was really nice. That's it. That's all I got. I thought you can. Thank you. Let's sing out our kids with our Singing Out Our Kids song.
Go with wisdom, go with wonder, go to meet a brand new day. Learn to see the light within you as He sends you on your way.
Our centering hymn is There's a River Flowing in My Soul.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind, flowing my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Yeah. It's now time for joys and concerns.
As many of you know, Chelsea had emergency surgery
Let's find a still spot. Chris is going to play along with this prayer and then extend it after we're done. Again, we do this because we're not all powerful. And we do this because we're not that vast. We stop and pause because we hurt. We pause because people are in bad spots. Personal, medical, existential. We stop because doing so is a reminder that we're all in this together. We lift up our hearts to those whose bodies don't work right. Those who are asked to live in impossible situations. We pray for the small church and the movement of Unitarian Universalists around the country. Not much more than 150,000 of us adults trying to open religion to being a place of values and not a place as much of rules. We pray that we can be a place that honors the importance of people's identities and the importance of simply being a good person together. We pray that we're open-hearted enough to keep in our prayers those we can't see, in part because of our privilege, in part just because they're far. We turn over this silence to the Spirit that works in silence and in magical ways like these bowls. Let's take 2 minutes of that blessed musical sounds.
The reading today is adapted from Confucius by Anonymous. The superior person thinks of their character. The inferior person thinks of their position. The superior person makes demands upon themselves. The inferior person makes demands upon others. No one is born with good character. It's not a hereditary trait, and it isn't determined by a single noble act. What goes to make up good character? First comes truth. There is one quality that is essential, without which a person cannot accomplish any great work. That is truth in the inward parts.
Thank you, Judy. Let me just turn your microphone on there. Bob strained his back, that's why he's not standing. Might want to pull your mask down so we can hear you. So this is a service about kind of the evolution of Christian thought and one of the dynamics that are alive today. The first Unitarians were found in early Christianity as theologians fighting against the idea that God was a triumvirate consisting of three divine entities. This is the Trinity. Nevertheless, comprising a single hypostasis. Arius, our guy, fought against that at the Council of Nicaea, where the Trinity, the doctrine, was first formalized as orthodoxy. So, if you define yourself as a Christian, it was at the Council of Nicaea, the Nicene Creed, that we hear in so many churches that the battle was lost. Likewise, the theologian Origen thought God was a single divine entity, opposed the idea of original sin, and promoted a version of Christianity in which everyone would eventually be saved. These early liberal thinkers lost a battle, were declared heretics, and treated as persona non grata.
The second source of Unitarian thought appeared at the time of the Protestant Reformation, when Michael Servetus published a little book titled On the Errors of the Trinity. This book gave rise to the first Unitarian churches in Transylvania, located in present-day Romania, and earned Servetus a death sentence at the hands of the reformer John Calvin, although he was also burned at the stake in absentia by the Inquisition, in a rare display of ecumenical unity.
Churches can come together when they want to. By the early 1800s, the first Unitarian churches in the U.S. began to declare themselves as something different from the Orthodox understanding of Christianity. It was a slow, evolving process, but we gradually came to realize that the traditional Christianity did not compass all the truths available, and that science and reason had important things to say about our place in the universe and kind of who we are. In the 1830s, Theodore Parker was preaching a kind of natural religion, which is sort of kind of religion imbued into life, that was novel and popular, but it wasn't quite Christian enough, and the established Boston Standing Order churches rejected him. Parker and Emerson, two of our biggest heroes, were basically rebels. One wouldn't listen to his colleagues, and the other quit Unitarian church, where he was a minister, go it alone as a lecturer. So we have this tradition of leaving churches. There we go. In the historic sense, this meant that we were Christians who lost the big debates and then became dissenters to become more liberal Christians, essentially. We've become a church that's worked to create space for members to look forward and back in the ongoing search for truth. And for our purposes, it is convenient to consider Unitarians at the turn of the 20th century who had slogans, salvation through character, which Confucian was talking about.
This slogan reflected the belief that the cultivation of character was a principal concern of the Unitarian Church. The trend in Unitarianism was leading towards humanism, and universalism was beginning its wane with the broader adoption by other Christians of the idea that God is love.
You can't talk, Bob cannot talk about character without choking up. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. In the early 20th century, Unitarians were consumed by the question of whether or not atheists could be admitted into the ministry, which they eventually were. In the 1930s, Unitarians were key in the creation of the Humanist Manifesto, which was a document whose principal contributors were, many of them were ministers. The energy of Unitarian was on this historic border, and with some reluctance, we stepped away and allowed churches to be led by character-ridden atheists. Bob?
In the 1960s, work in the civil rights field resulted in the murders of Reverend James Reeb and Viola Liuzzo at Selma, Alabama, and provided proof of Unitarians' commitment to social justice. 1985 saw the adoption of the 7 principles. And the first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, marked the first indirect attack on the link between deeds and worth and dignity. Indirect, because the attack was only a logical corollary of the doctrine of inherence. An interesting question to ask of this assertion is, what does it ask of the membership to commit themselves to? The answer is nothing. What could be more Unitarian than that?
As the years passed, the idea of abandoning the importance of deeds altogether gradually gained momentum, and the old slogan, "Deeds, not creeds," which had been in our mouths for a while, was given little more than lip service. The logical conclusion to this trend was to launch a direct assault on the importance of deeds. Bob wrote that he believed this occurred with the publication in the summer of 2020, the issue of the UU World magazine, where Sarah Lambert, a fellow colleague of mine, attempted to place Unitarian Universalism on a new footing. Being is more important than doing. Your being, not your doing, is what is essentially sacred. And this attempt implies that identity is more important than character, quietly. This sentiment is reminiscent of the assertion made by Martin Luther in the Protestant Reformation, who didn't care if a person was a murderer or a thief or guilty of a lot of crimes, as long as they were a person of declared their faith would get them into heaven.
For over a century, Unitarian churches have taught that both the mind and the heart, the whole person, are equally important factors in the struggle to create a better world. In contrast, Stewart wrote, quote, "The heart is more important than the mind." This judgment arguably places Stewart in the same philosophical camp as those who know in their hearts that Donald Trump won the 2020 presidential election and are unmoved by any appeal to reason. The reaction to these two statements by Reverend Stewart has been a profound silence. Not a whisper of dissent has been raised against these pronouncements.
One highly important duty did not make it onto the list of principles, and that's the exercise of due diligence. Due diligence isn't sexy, it requires time and effort, so it's not terribly popular. Neville Chamberlain, Bob notes, did not take trouble to read Mein Kampf, and with the result that he wound up enabling the designs of Hitler, could have been better informed. And this proves that acting out of the purest of motives without exercising due diligence or some responsibility can easily result in events that promote disaster.
Many of us have discovered that racist attitudes can be very subtle and are almost invisibly woven into our white dominant culture. The same observation is also true of arrogance, especially intellectual arrogance. When I first encountered Starr King's famous quip about Unitarians and Universalists, one is convinced that God is too good to damn them forever, while the other believes they are too good to be damned forever. I thought the remark was intended only as a joke. It was only later I realized that many Unitarians actually do believe they are that good.
Intellectual humility has never been a prized virtue among UUs. It can be argued that the inherent evil proposed by Calvin finds its negative mirror image in the idea of an inherent good. Read worth and dignity. But few of us sitting here would claim that we are inherently good. How comfortable are you having our first principle say that, have a statement that asks nothing of us except a statement about us? So, do we wish to pull all moral demands out of religion? The structural symmetry with the Calvinist statement has inescapable consequences. In view of this parallel, it should come as no surprise that both ideas suffer from the same disease, that of intellectual arrogance.
We are living in the tension between who we are culturally, racially, and demographically, and this tension tests our commitment to cultivate a more just, equal, and multicultural world. We are, in effect, defined by how we deal with the gulf between who we are and the ideals of equality and diversity we wish to see in the world. How we manage these competing values moving forward will largely determine who we will be.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah. So, has anyone else noticed that tension or change in Unitarian Universalism over the years? One maybe of shifting from, I don't know, lifting up the value of one's identity, I guess would be the easiest way to phrase that. Any comments about that at all? Not all at once. So the question would be, in our tradition, there is this sort of sense that Unitarians were saved by character, right? It was your behavior, it was your deeds. In the scripture, we're more inclined to be towards James, who talks about the value of faith without works is vacant or whatever. And then there's the other side of the story that involves that your faith is actually what's most important, right? So historically, we're sort of on the if you're good, you'll do good side of debate. And lately, we've sort of moved in the direction of being concerned, understandably, about people's different identities and all of the values that those identities bring to the table. And I don't know, we're just trying to cultivate a conversation.
I have no idea what that question is, but I'm gonna. Thank you, Bob, first of all, for putting that together. Beautiful, both of you. For me, the first principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, it's. I think we're gonna change that to every being soon. Yeah, we're going in that direction. But I think I've always, how could you? I always think of like Charles Manson is the person that comes to mind. How could you? And to me, as like a lifelong teacher and also someone, I think about what we do in society and how we create evil by the society that we create. To me, that's always been a statement about, Charles Manson was not born what he became. And so it's an indictment on our society that could create a person. So even a Charles Manson was born with that soul, with that spirit. So that's how I think of it. It's an indictment on us.
Yeah.
I've often wondered if it's our deeds or our faith that's most important. Who judges if we're good enough? It's each other.
Yeah.
It's the community. It's the world as large. And, it's just wonderful to be in a community with other people who are so loving and reasonable and, even the fundamentalist, worthy, every.
Yeah.
And it is up to us to, I don't want to say level judgment because judgment is such a loaded word these days, but it's up to us to remain in conversation and covenant with everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks. Yeah. I've always appreciated what Bob has suggested is that we're called to look for and see the inherent worth in everyone more than necessarily claim it's true.
Well, given how modern Unitarian Universalism has evolved, the notion of being saved by faith is probably obsolete because so many of us haven't got faith.
Yeah, right.
On the other hand, I noticed in this church, when I first joined in 1997, it was predominantly humanist and atheist. You could not utter the G word.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, I think the congregation of the makeup of the church has changed, and we're more open to the spirituality and perhaps belief in deities.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's continually changing.
Right. The general line of reasoning around that is that when everyone went to church, right, when culturally most people went to church, we were the bastion for that free thinking. And now that fewer and fewer people come to church, we become where it's necessary to provide that spirituality for people, because it isn't just church that everyone goes to on Sunday. Fewer and fewer people do. So, interesting debates. I think there's no real right answer to whether you should focus on your character or we need to honor the varieties of racial differences and identities and all of the, all of that sort of intersectionality that exists, but we clearly need to balance that, and I hope today was edifying and interesting to listen to. It's now time for our offertory, so hopefully you'll feel a call to your character and be generous. And there's the joke. Do you get it? Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. It's all for show. want to be Chris's neighbor. Be blissed out all day. Please join me in the affirmation of gratitude above my head, I think. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us also be grateful even for our needs, so that we may experience the generosity of others. Our closing hymn, not going to be printed, just, keeping is We Give Thanks. And Severin, take it away.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for those far gathered here and those far away, for the time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
That's a pretty little song, isn't it? Come on up here, Judy. We didn't rehearse this at all. Read that.
This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there's a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste and blessed be. And now our service truly begins. Thanks. Send some good vibes to Chelsea and Betty Saunders and Jean Wilson and Bob's back, all that. It's good to have Abraham and Sarah back today, too. Yeah, sneaking in like that. Yeah. That soundtrack featured the next time the Buddha reincarnates. That'll be playing, so there we are. Thanks for being here, and go in peace.